Hello, my name is Eugene. This is CSE 110, winter 2015, section B under Professor Menarini. I'm a programmer of unikitty, and today I will be talking about design patterns. Woohoo! Okay, so I guess let's talk about the facade. So our facade is effectively, well, it's kind of weird because what our facade is it does expose a limited amount of functionality to basically hide parts of the module it's trying to represent, but who it's hiding it from is kind of strange. So our actions include login, logout, sign up, retail, sign up, commercial, etc., etc. And what's interesting about that is our client is a Ajax client, and so there is no direct means of linking the Ajax code to to invoking the parts of the facade. So what we did was we actually created we wrote code to generate Ajax code from the actions automatically via Python, and using that we're able to parallel the generate Ajax code that invokes the functions of our facade. And I guess, I don't know, I thought that was kind of cool. So what effectively happens is it generates Ajax code, it serves it to the client invokes a JavaScript function call, which for instance would be login and then username, password, and then the program will send it over to our actions, route it into our function, and then all the action will take place, and then a response object is sent back to the facade. The response object is then converted to something in JavaScript, and then everything's fine and dandy. So it's like the two clients are the same language, even though they're clearly not. So I found that was kind of interesting. So in addition to just the facade also has some rules with respect to certain things that a user is allowed or is not allowed to do. So these rules include, for instance, whether or not a customer service representative is allowed to create a package. And in our case, if a customer service representative is trying to create a package, then we throw an exception. The user information is stored as part of the session, so it's not actually in the function call, but it is passed along as a global variable that is restricted to the scope of the session, whatever that means. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, here's our mediator. Serves to decouple the interactions of the modules with respect to our underlying model. So it does things like attempt login, update threshold, etc., like create service, all that, which is really great. So then what we do is we also have a factory. Our factory will create things in our database. For instance, services, packages, benefits, users. We have different types of users: admin, representative, customer, and representatives. We also have customer representative, marketing representative, and customers. We have these two types as well. We also have transactions, which consist of either a subscription or an unsubscription. We also have the customer will aggregate a threshold, which he or she specifies, and we also have that transactions, they aggregate either benefits or services. Benefits being parts of packages, which allows to get services at a lower cost, but at a expense in terms of the penalty and the lock-in period. Okay, So what we noticed about the facade is that because all actions are routed through it, things such as like attempting login is also done through it. And this is very convenient. Uh, I guess it's kind of like a side effect of the mediator, but it makes it a very nice subject as well. So for instance, one task rule we're given is checking whether or not the number of attempts on the user is greater than a certain amount, and if so, we would notify the user. In this case, because everything will attempt a password through the mediator, we can simply have the mediator be the subject. We can have a login listener over here. The login listener, we have an attempt manager, which basically records the number of attempts on the user, and then we also have a rule in terms of whether or not any action needs to be done with respect to the number of attempts on the user. And in addition to that, the action would be notifying the user, but because there are many different means of notifying the user, we have a strategy with respect to this. So we have a notify strategy, and the concrete implementation of that strategy is our email strategy. Similarly, we have a billing listener to see whether or not the customer's bill has changed. And we also have a threshold manager, which checks whether or not the total bill of a user after a change has occurred exceeds the threshold that the user specifies. Then we have the threshold rule, which actually does the checking, and then invokes the action, which is the notify strategy, yet again, using the email strategy. Okay. Finally, I think one last part I want to talk about is our pluggables. So the mediator, because everything is done through it, we also have a pluggable rule objects, which is constructed at the beginning of running the program using a factory. So we have a subscription rule, add package rule, cost rule, and unsubscription rule that the mediator contains, kind of like a policy. We also provide default concrete implementations of these. But for instance, the default subscription rule, when a subscription is requested, a transaction object of type subscription is created, and that is given to the user. So what this allows for is allows other people to define their own subscription rule, add package rule, cost rule, unsubscription rule, and then simply plug it into the parameters of the factory that construct the entire mediator, and then as a result we get dynamic behavior that follows the open-close principle with respect to not needing to modify the existing code and simply plugging in new code that one writes to extend the functionality. So, oops. I guess that's all in terms of our design patterns. This was all kind of fun to think of, and making the diagram was also kind of cool. Also implementing it in Python really gives you an appreciation of the flexibility of Python relative to Java. But it also kind of gives you an appreciation of Java's ability to make code, I guess, responsible, or more than that, safe, so that it does exactly what you want it to. So that's all I have to talk about. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.